How you doing, Charlie?
I'm doing good. How's everything going? How's this sounding? Good?
I think it sounds pretty good. Um, to be totally honest, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm extremely tired. Been damn busy with everything, making some videos, made a podcast with my brother talking about hitchhiking. I know I'd really love to get the volumes up on this thing and uh, give that a test as we go.
Yeah, just I think just being up on the mic a little bit more. I mean, I you sound perfect on it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
yours
just
yours is coming through fine. I just know when I listened in my truck today of the hitchhiking podcast with my brother, I couldn't hear him at all. He's he kind of mumbles a little bit here
he
and
is
there.
mousy.
Yeah. But I was listening to this podcast and I'm driving down the road cuz I want to critique it and know where I can get better at. And one thing I can get better at is make sure when we are talking, this goes out to you, Tyson, when you hear this, to speak up a little bit, and you'll agree too.
Yeah, you got to project yourself a little bit more and not be I don't know, afraid of the microphone. I It's just like having a conversation with friends at the kitchen table or whatever. It's just basically what I treat it like, and it seems to come off a little bit better like that, except for with topics. It's the same basic thing, except this time we actually have things that you want to talk about.
Oh
I
yeah,
love it.
yes, absolutely. Thank you. With that all going with the YouTube and the
Podcast?
and this podcast, yes, thank you. It it's great. There's some topics to talk about, and maybe if Tyson does mumble, maybe it's part my fault because I am always around loud equipment going nonstop. I wear earplugs, but it still seems to affect your hearing, even though my hearing keeps getting better since I started this job.
Yeah, my hearing's always been messed up, and then working in radio for almost 6 years, it didn't help anything wearing headphones. Luckily, though, my headphones were always turned down low. I used to go into the studios and listen to how other people had it, and it was insane. No wonder they were deaf.
Just too loud.
Mm-hmm. Extremely loud, like concert quality loud.
Dude, think back to when you were in middle school and high school, back to the first Discmans, how loud you were having them
But also, then
there.
you didn't have buds in your ears. You had these almost like these
The
studio things, but
muffs.
they weren't really muffs. They were those little plastic things. They never really covered your whole ear. It was just like a little piece of plastic
It
that
was
went right up against your ear.
it was totally a legit little speaker, just
Yeah.
pumping sound into your brain. Just
Uh,
just make sure it didn't skip. You need that anti
yeah,
what
the
the heck?
anti-skip, and then
Yeah.
the first ones had like 15 seconds, which I don't even know if that really did. I mean, it helped not skip things, but then they came out with like 45 seconds and then like a minute something, and then by then they had MP3s and nobody gave a shit.
Dude, I remember I think about 8th grade I had a Discman or whatever. I'm not sure what brand, but you could hit that thing and it would stop the disc, spin it the other direction, still play music, and then it would it would turn again back the normal way, and it then by the time it started going again, it would like skip for a second and then start playing. I was like so proud of that, and so were kids at school. They're like, look how good mine does. And it was like a clear case so you could see the disc and you could like beat the shit out of it. And wow, those are really
They
the
worked
glory days, huh?
they worked better than car stereos. You'd go over one little bump in a car and it would skip the disc.
Oh,
But those stupid discmen would you could jump, you could throw them down on the ground and stuff like that, and they didn't skip.
well, I remember your first one, and when we would go up to this lake in your mom's van, it would it would skip the whole time. You had to sit there and hold it just to listen to some Jerky Boys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever we were listening to, maybe Matchbox 20. That was our 8-track, man. The Discman.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, because we were at
Tapes.
the tail end of Walkmans, and then but those weren't. It didn't seem like those were around for very long, and then it was Discmans pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember having cassettes and having a Walkman, and buying cassettes, dude. That was so bad. Like the way that they would split up the music on it was not very good, in my opinion. Not that they did anything better on, disc would get scratched super easily, and I mean the quality of tapes weren't that great, but they seemed like they lasted longer until you got that little stupid middle piece broken, and then they didn't play anymore.
Oh yeah, everything breaks. What about that? You could never have Discman, Walkman. It'd have to be like walk gender neutral player.
Yeah, there would be something CD man. No, they wouldn't even have that CD thing.
Yeah.
Then you couldn't call it a thing.
Yeah.
There's some loud people in the hallway. I like it.
I can't hear them on here, so that's pretty good. I mean, we are. I'll just paint a picture. We're in a motel in Helena, Montana. This is what we do every now and then. It's good to get to a spot where nobody can fucking bother you. And sadly, it has to be a motel room, but I get really good rates, and this seems to be a good place to do these.
Yeah, it would be. It's just, yeah, well, not having a home. It's not like you could do this in the truck. I mean, I guess you could. You could totally set it up to where you could record in there, but then we'd be sitting right next to each other, like arm to arm. And unless we're going into combat, I don't think we need to be sitting that close.
Dude, maybe if I had a van or something in the back, you could
That would
sit
be cool,
and chill.
like Steve-O's van. I love how he's got that set up.
Oh, God, how much money does something like that cost?
Probably a lot, but you know what? I dig the concept. It's super cool, man. Vans are the way to go. And not for hashtag van life and that stupid crap. I'm not talking about living in a van to be fashionable for YouTube. I'm talking about living in a van because it's serviceable and it's a smart way to live.
Dude, there's some good van lifers, but then there is also, you can just read right through the bullshit. You see it. I live in a truck. We know this. This
Sure.
audience knows this. All fucking two of everybody. So when you watch, like, when you go searching for van life videos, you know the bullshitters. It's like you can see through it. And then you know the people that are shitting in buckets in there. Dude, okay, right there.
Making stuff
There's
up.
a guy at work that has a shitter in his fucking van. Dude, I'm so grossed out by the smell of shit. I do not want to shit in close quarters. And I'm from Montana, dude. So I'll shit outside. If I have an emergency, I will shit anywhere I have to if I need to. Obviously, I'm not going to be leaving loaves on the sidewalk in the park or nothing. But
Hey.
I am going to go in the bushes. Now we're talking about shit, which is crazy. But it just blew my mind that a friend at work said he had a shitter in his van. And this van is not that. It's not a minivan, but it is.
Like an Econoline?
Yeah. Yeah, about that size van, older.
So what kind of shitter? Is it like a bucket with a thing over it? Or is it a legitimate shitter?
Dude,
Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, thank God.
But I don't.
But now I got questions.
Yeah, I have questions too. Is it a?
Was he bragging about it?
No, we were ended up somehow it just came up. I was like, man,
Interesting.
I'll shit in the woods. I was going off on my rant that I just did.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got a shitter. I'm like, you're kidding. You're absolutely kidding that you have a shitter. Where? In your van? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I just shit in it in the morning. I'm like,
Ew.
what the fuck, man?
That's-
And then you're brushing your teeth in there. I know we shit in
Oh.
bathrooms and they're small as a fucking van, but it just doesn't seem as sanitary. Where's the shit go? Is he shitting in a bag inside the fucking
That's what I want to
bucket
know.
or what? What the fuck? And then what? You got to deal with that. So just
Yeah,
real
that's a
fast.
whole
I don't
other-
like shit. I don't like puke. I don't like weird things like that. Things
No.
gross me out. The smell of death, not good.
Well, when you shouldn't have to deal with any of that. I mean, quite honestly, I've lived in cars and stuff, and I actually prefer going into an actual place to go shit instead of shitting in a freaking car or something like that. Because most of the time, by the time I get up and walk to wherever I need to go inside to, then it's time to go anyway. And it's just like, bam, you're in there, you do your thing, you wash your hands, you're out. maybe you shower there if it's one of those type of facilities. If not, you get yourself some coffee if it happens to be one of those type of places, and get the hell out of that place.
There's a certain way to do things, and I think that that's a way I wouldn't do it. Obviously, it's not for everybody.
But it
But
just doesn't make sense to me. Shitting in a, I mean, it's one thing if you've ever seen Wee Man's van, he has a bathroom shower thing built into his, and it's a whole thing. I
but
could, I mean, yeah, I don't really understand it, but at least it's built into it. It's not some ghetto ass bucket toilet thing, or who knows what this dude. If he's got an Econoline, I'm telling you, he does not have a legitimate toilet. He's got a bucket thing, and it's probably stinky in there, dude. And knowing
it
real
would
people,
seem like it.
I would almost bet. If I was a betting man, I would say yes, bucket. And
Yes.
he's changing bags.
Well, and you think about Wee Man, he's a wee man.
He's a wee
So-
person.
Yeah, so he could have, I mean,
He's
his,
basically got
have
an
you-
RV van.
Yeah, it's like a Class B, and he's small, so he can have that fucking thing.
Oh yeah, and it's
2-story.
Mm-hmm. I just don't need a bathroom thing in mine because I'm gonna I want to
Less
have
is best.
Well, then I got to go to the gym anyway and have a gym membership. Plus, then you can work out. I think it's a lot better deal, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
you're
just,
correct.
Yeah, that's just me though. I mean, there's so much other stuff that I would rather. You could take that money that you would put into that and have so much other stuff than having to shit where you are. I mean, I understand the convenience of it all, especially if it's something built into like that and it's actually nice. But, dude, if you're just crapping in a bucket with a thing like that, like I'm pretty sure that dude's doing, that's not
The guy
stepping up at
seemed-
all.
The guy seems like a clean guy. Like,
Well, he
he's-
probably is. I mean, it doesn't mean that he's, I don't know, spraying all over the place like an animal, but I'm saying it's still.
It's a litter box.
Yeah. You see him bringing bags of Tidy Cat to the back of
Yeah.
that van. You got problems, bro.
Oh,
You got to
man.
watch out.
Dude.
No, I'm just saying that I don't know. I've seen, you know what I'm talking about, though. It's like a toilet seat that goes over a bucket.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them.
And I almost am guessing that that's what it is. And that just seems like a hassle. It is like changing a litter box because basically you're taking out a garbage bag of your crap.
It's your
and
own
that's-
shit.
Ugh. Who wants to deal with that, dude? It's like so much easier to. That would be like pissing in something instead of just walking outside and pissing. Like, why wouldn't you? There's
It-
always a
it
place.
lim-
There's always a place to find to piss.
Eliminate one headache that you actually
don't travel
don't.
around with waste or don't have that because then I mean even if you do get rid of the bag, there's still feces and stuff in there. It's not like it's clean instantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a dirty scenario that you don't need to be dealing with. It's so easy. It's cut and dry. You don't need to have that.
No, you don't. And you watch. This is where I think about these van lifers, hashtag van life on
Yeah.
YouTube, and the difference between like me and them, and well, some of them. But when they do their van tour, and they're like, in this drawer is a
tchotchkes.
$2,000 composting
panel.
toilet, which is
Yeah.
just a glorified fucking bucket with like another spot for the shit to go.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's a lot of talk about shit, but I
Well, I feel the same way about sinks in there too. I wouldn't build anything, but if it had one in there, like the old VW vans, like how they had a sink, I would put a little tank in there and have the pump one.
for brushing your teeth
That would be fine. Yeah, you're not gonna wash
and
dishes.
cleaning like a cup.
It would be
You know,
nice.
very minimal, a pot and a cup, because you don't need a ton of dishes.
No, because for the most part, you can use paper plates and stuff, and
Paper
then
plates.
throw that shit away at the first gas station you stop at to refuel. You got that little garbage bag. Bam, your garbage is gone.
That's
And so-
another thing with the van lifers. They'll be like, "Oh, we're vegan, we're eco-friendly, all of this stuff." They never, you live in a car
They
that
don't
runs on
recycle.
gas and has tires on it, and they're like, "We're eco-friendly, and we buy all these vegan things in plastic containers, and we never, and we're vegan, but we eat soy, and they kill everything with soy." I heard that on Joe Rogan. Do I know my facts? Fuck no, but that's what I've heard. So with that. Those are the people where I'm like, dude, this guy's fucking full of shit. Like his toilet clearly is.
Yeah,
It's just leaking all over your fucking
oh,
carpet.
that whole scenario just sounds like unwanted and unnecessary, man. Just so for what? The convenience so you can hunch over in the back of your van to shit? I mean,
And then what? It's gonna stink like fucking dry shit, not in water. And there's a difference. It smells
yeah.
different. Have you noticed that? Yes, we all have.
It does when you can't get rid of it and it goes down a pipe somewhere and gets
Okay.
out of your vicinity quickly.
When
It lingers.
yeah. Oh, there better be a fucking 12-volt fan just ripping that shit out of the roof. When I was in Peru and I climbed, and it wasn't far from Ollantaytambo, I think that's how you pronounce that town. It was those capsule motels on the cliff. You've seen it. There was a shitter in there. You shit into a bag, and then so now the capsule, no bigger than a van, reeks like shit. And dude, I
Did you doo-doo in it?
yeah, I had to. I go every morning, bro. And so I go. It's in the morning.
Oh no.
And now I've reeked up the thing. But I used to so I don't drink. I think most people know that.
Thank God.
I used to be hungover all the fucking time because I was a fucking full-on alcoholic. And I couldn't even hit the porta shitters at work or any porta shitter, especially on a July or August day. It is fucking bad, dude. And I can never lose that like gag reflex. If I smell it at all, I am like so close to fucking puking. I have such a weak stomach when it comes to the smell of shit. So
yeah, I do as well, especially when it's other people's. Dude, when you walk into a public bathroom and you're just like, ugh.
and it's like 5 other people's. Dude, what about the airports?
Oh, terrible.
Dude.
Who are these people flying and shitting so much? I mean, I understand the airport food is not that great, but come on, those stalls are always full, dude, and it reeks in there so goddamn bad. You got to get in there quick.
I definitely did not mean for this podcast to go straight into talking about shit.
Well,
So
it's
we'll
all
try
about
to get
travel bathrooms. They're horrendous. That's why you got to avoid them if you can. There's certain places that you don't want to use.
Oh my God. And I guess we can continue talking about it, but in Asia they had bidets, and Tyson tried a bidet, but I never did. So I was thinking about a wet butthole, and I was like, I don't want my butthole wet, but you think about also, if you got shit on your arm, are you gonna wash it off with water or just wipe it away with a paper towel? You're probably gonna
wipe it away. Yeah,
you're probably gonna wash it off.
It does make sense. Yeah, a lot of, basically everywhere but here are pretty much big bidet places. They're big on bidets and they're big on the metric system. Two things that we cannot embrace.
I really wish the United States would have just went with the metric system instead of being so goddamn stubborn.
We got to be a bunch of fucking rebels and go with this stupid inches and shit.
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah, because it's a pain in the ass. They're like, we have X amount of meters and stuff. I'm like, fuck. Then I'm trying to convert things to yards because that's pretty close to a fucking meter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God.
It's bullshit.
I'm like, so how many kilometers do we have to go?
A couple clicks.
And yeah. I'm trying to do math in my head. I'm like, and then I get out my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, fucking.
Thank God for calculators.
5K, 2.8 miles, or I think that's what it is. And then I'm like, okay, how far? Wait, we have 120 kilometers.
Isn't that
60 something?
Isn't that funny that teachers back in the day would be like, you can't use calculators on tests because you're not going to have a calculator when you get older. Now we literally have computers in our pockets.
Yeah.
To prove them wrong.
Well,
Fuck
teachers are stupid.
Fuck you, science teacher. I'm thinking of a particular one in general. And a math teacher as well, who you cheated and caused a whole riff and ruined. He ruined a good thing by getting busted on cheating on math tests because he figured out how to manipulate the scores and
it didn't do me any favors.
Well, no, it didn't do anybody any favors except it got me through some things that I wouldn't have passed because I didn't want to sit there and learn about it.
Yeah.
And yes. Ruined it.
I ruined it for you?
You ruined it for a lot of people. You figured it out, and then you're like, all you got to do is this after the test. And basically, you just went up into the corner, and you could click it and change your score. And I was like, oh, that's super easy.
It's not my fault
Well,
that
you're the
they
one
had
that.
a flawed system.
No, it's your fault. You got busted doing it, and then.
Oh, well, and that was like way late in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So we were both going to the same school in Montana at the time,
Same
and
teacher, just different classes.
different classes. And I would say I definitely learned that beginning of the year.
Yeah, you told me pretty quickly about it. You're like, you don't know about that? I was like, no. After the test, you just go over to the right-hand corner and you can click down on this little drop tab that was right there that you wouldn't really notice because it was just this little arrow that pointed down and it didn't really look like anything. And
Well,
there you,
somebody showed me.
of course, somebody else figured it out, but I mean, it was great. It was like between that and I figured out when I went to high school that if you went to the attendance office, they would mark you as tardy, so they would mark you as being in class. Then you could just leave because they already had you on record as being there, so they wouldn't mark you as gone. You
Oh,
would just
really?
get marked as tardy, and tardies didn't really matter. It took a bunch of them for you to get in trouble.
Yeah.
And then they had to change that the next year.
Dude, it seemed like I could just walk around high school and do whatever the fuck I wanted.
Yeah, basically.
I did.
The only thing that I had to worry about at the high schools that I went to was avoiding the what are those stupid high school cops called? Whatever they are, because they would patrol around at lunch. So as long as you didn't hang out anywhere near the school, you were fine.
A security guard?
Yeah, but I think it was an actual cop.
Oh, yeah.
Because
On-campus police officer.
They were there one time. I don't know if I've ever told this story. I will, and I'll name names as well because it doesn't matter. My buddy Gerald had some marijuana back in the high school days, and I was leaving to go to a dental appointment, so I didn't stay for the whole class. But we had a drug dog come in randomly. They sniffed the lockers in the science thing, and then they went over to where the English part was, and they had everybody leave their backpack in there. And he took his fucking weed and he stuck it in this chick's backpack. And the dog went to the bed. Like, all of us went up against the thing. They went. The dog came through. They came out with her backpack. She got, like, a day suspension and then came back. And what they said was that they found she had taken that backpack, quote, hunting. And they had found gun residue or bullet residue in it. So it triggered the dog when realistically somebody slipped a bag of reefer in there and they found reefer, but because this kid was a rich kid, she didn't get in trouble at all, really.
Oh, my God. I want to talk about some of these weed stories.
Oh.
Really, we might as well just go down that with drug-sniffing dogs, maybe even our...
Drug dogs. Oh, the
Canadian
Canadian border story.
Yeah. So I don't think the drug dogs are that good. And I'll tell you a story. When I was getting processed out of the Marine Corps, a guy in the squad bay had brought some weed in, and it was fucking dank. And it stunk up the whole squad bay.
Yeah, some
and
of that
there's
good
like,
stuff.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Like, smell it through the bag.
I love that.
Yeah. And I don't smoke, for the record. But
I do, for the record.
I did then, but I had nothing to do. Wait, I did have something to do with this because I was like, oh, I'll buy some weed if you go off base and go get some weed. And
Well,
the
yes.
motherfucker did.
Especially if he's getting that.
Yeah, he did. And I'm sitting there. We're sitting there all day, all the time. Fucking, I'm talking all the fucking time. So while we're sitting there, he goes, he gets some fucking weed. And we're there for a couple months. And he comes back. Stinks up the squad bay with it. I get my weed. I put it in my fucking Foot Locker deal. And, dude, by the time I put it in there, my door was still open. Here comes like a sergeant and a staff sergeant. And they're like, everybody, get over. They just fucking yelled at us. Stop what you're doing. Get outside. We called it the fucking H. So we'd get out on the H. And we all did. Well, in that time, my door was still open. I grabbed that weed, threw it in my fucking pocket, went into the bathroom, and I was going to flush it. And then I seen this fucking urinal that had a plastic trash bag over it. And I was like, last resort, nobody will know it was mine. I'll just hide it in the
Yeah.
plastic trash
At
bag.
least it's stored somewhere.
Yeah, I did on a urinal, right? A broken ass urinal that was broken the whole fucking time. I hide it there. I go outside. Now I have no weed on me. I had nothing to do with the drug deal. And we're all hanging outside for like 6, 7 hours. They bring in these drug dogs. It was like a long fucking time, dude. We might even. The Marine Corps is fucking crazy for that. I remember that stuff. And we sat outside and we all got in a big circle. And I could smell the weed because I had it like in my sock. I guess I didn't put it in my pocket.
Oh,
Now
you
I
can smell
remember.
residuals.
Yeah, and I was like, "Fuck, they're gonna fucking sniff me out." Anyways, this dog sniffed me, no issues. And then it also, I think they just brought the fucking thing in for
show.
intimidation because these urinals were the older style urinals that were like lower to the ground for like a midget or for so many different type.
The ones
heights.
that are built into the floor, kind of?
Not that. No, not that. Just a regular style urinal, but they were low. You know, like the kid one.
Okay.
And they weren't like the big square ones. They were like the weird shaped toilet ones like in
Yes.
Kingpin that he's sitting in taking a shit.
Yes.
And so that's wrapped in a trash bag. I hide that weed up underneath of there. And the dog sniffed out the whole squad bay. He never found that weed. Dude, it was the coolest fucking thing. So check this out. That happens, and now we're still standing downstairs, and they're like, does anybody know who had the marijuana? And this one kid fucking is like, I do. He steps out, and he's like, I do, Sergeant, raises his hand. And so they take him. Anyways, he's a rat. He goes and rats out the kids that actually got it, and then they end up going to this place called the Brig, which is like the jail or the prison for the Marines.
For Marine crimes.
Yeah, I never had to go. Anyways, I talked to the dudes that were leaving. They're like, we're going to fucking kill that fucking rat, dude.
I wonder if they did.
So anyways, now everybody leaves. It's like dark. We're all laying in our racks. I'm like, oh, I got to make a fucking head call, dude. So I go. I'm like, holy shit. It's still here. The weed is still here. I leave it there. I'm like, I'm going to let shit die down. Maybe they're going to fucking see who grabs it, and then they're going to do this process all over again. And I wait. I wait till like the next day. I'm like, okay, clearly nobody fucking knows the ganja's here. I grab it. Fucking get it out of there. I hide it in the bushes because now I'm like hiding shit just that. I hide it underneath this bridge. I'm in the 52 area on Camp Pendleton. It's like where Mount Motherfucker is. And I hide on the way to Supply. There's this little bridge. So I hide under there. And I fucking, every now and then I tell a bro, I'm like, hey. And I got it in a pill container now. And then I just, with a little shitty pipe, you know, those little screw together chain ones. It's just enough to take a couple rips. And if not, you can always do, back then, you could always do a Red Bull can.
Yeah.
And just get ripped as fuck, crush that can, throw it the fuck away. Now there's no anything. I would leave the bag of weed and a lighter in this pill container and just bury it in the dirt underneath this bridge. Well, we're fucking sitting under there. And I got two friends. We're blazing it up under a bridge, which is stupid because it's like a footbridge with like, it's like a deck, you know, where you can see through the cracks, but nobody knows we're under there, and we're under there smoking weed. Well, there's this bag like hanging in the bushes, like right there. It's a fucking bottle of lube and a pocket pussy. I'm like, gross. We find this dude. I talked this Asian kid into fucking fingering it. I swear to God, dude. And I was like, Lee. I just told him I had been fingering it. He's like, no. He stuck his finger in this pocket pussy, which is like a big latex, dude, like a fleshlight insert. And he stuck his finger all the way in it. I'm like, dude, some guy's dick was in that. It's so gross.
Dropping loads and he just fingered it.
Oh, man, I'll never forget that time in my life. I could probably ramble on and on and on, but I'll never forget that kid's name. It was Lee. And he was like, He fucking stuck his finger all the way up to the last knuckle.
Oh
I
God,
was
that's so
and there was a
bad.
bottle of lube there. I was like, oh my God. It was in a grocery bag, like from the PX. I'll never forget that. I mean, it's probably one of the finer moments in the Marine Corps when I talked this Asian kid into fingering a pocket pussy that was like secondhand.
Oh my God. Used.
Oh, yeah.
So disgusting.
Yeah.
That's great.
Dude, what a great memory.
Was he high when he did it at
Oh,
least?
yeah. I was getting that fucker high. I was getting everybody high because I was the only one that didn't get caught smoking or with the weed. So now I had the weed. It ran out really fast. And then we ended up going down to Oceanside and um,
Trying to pick up some more.
oh, I found it, dude. I was in like fucking peak physical shape, condition. I was great. So here's another story. We go and we leave. Um, we're not supposed to be on Liberty, but we leave the base. So technically we go UA. And it was only for like fucking 4 or 5 hours, just however long we were supposed to be at medical or something where we were supposed to be, but we weren't. So we got on the bus and you could ride off base. And anyways, first guy I asked, sitting on the beach, on the like the boardwalk that walks way down the hill to the beach. Black dude, got nothing to do with the story. Anyways, I'm like, man, I'm looking for some weed. You know, he's like, how much you want? I'm like, for real? And he's like, yeah. He's like, $60. And he's like, showed me that he had this weed. I was like, fuck, I don't have any cash. I'm going to fucking, I ran like a mile and a half to I ran. And then my other Marine Corps buddies were like, what the fuck are you running for? I didn't tell them. I was like, I'm going to an ATM. They start running with me like a fucking herd of horses, dude. I'm like, I'm just going to the ATM. I'm going to go get some fucking money. So I go get some money, run back. Now I'm in a fucking outhouse type public restroom on the beach. And I'm like getting weed from this dude. This has all happened in like 20 minutes. And I'm in there. I got no bag, so I'm wrapping it up with fucking toilet paper. And it's some fucking Mexican brick.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear, freeze, put your hands on the wall. And I was like, fuck, I'm busted, dude. My heart sunk. It was just two other fucking dudes trying to get some weed from that guy. He must sell it all the time right there. Anyways, grab my fucking Liberty buddies, which are my Marine Corps friends. Go to the top of this fucking parking garage. We're not supposed to be off base at all. This time we try to roll a joint, and I just learned how to roll a joint. I suck at rolling joints. I still suck at rolling joints. I mean, I don't smoke. I don't fucking practice rolling joints, but I could get the tube and then grind it up and stuff the tube and make a crutch and all this. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. So we're arguing about who the fuck is going to roll the joint. And we fucking haven't smoked in forever since the last weed and the Asian fingered the pocket pussy.
It's been a while.
Yeah. And, oh, dude, amazing times. Anyways, rolling this joint, we're spark it up. We're on top of this parking garage. And out of a movie, we look over, and there's a fucking cop with his fucking arms crossed. But goddamn it, we're fast. We're fucking good, dude. We've been running fucking miles and miles and hiking miles.
What
We're
a
fucking
better time to be in shape.
bro. At that fucking same time, it's like, okay, we got like a half a mile run to the bus stop. We were there in like a minute. Got to the bus stop. The bus pulled up. It's going back to base. We walked on. We're breathing all heavy. We just had a couple puffs, you know.
Yeah.
We dropped the joint. You know, it's almost perfect. Walk on the bus, ride back. Now I got weed. Then I was smoking weed in the porta shitters. Those are my weed stories for the Marine Corps.
California was a pretty easy place to get weed. Tyson and I scored it pretty simply from some dude that was staying in the same motel as us. He's like, you guys need weed too? And I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, how much you want? And I was like, I don't know. What are you getting? He's like, well, I'm getting blah, blah, blah. He's like, $60, I'll get you a bunch of weed. I was like, okay. And I looked at Tyson. I was like, $60? I was like, who cares? So we had to wait like about 45 minutes. And this dude's talking to us about computer stuff, like games and stuff. He never really told us right off the bat what he did.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Computer games and shit. And then all of a sudden he hopped up and he's like, all right, we got to go to the Hardee's that was right next door. We go over there. This Mexican dude came up in a Chevy, the Cavalier, those ones with the pointy front ends.
Yeah.
Like rims, gold rims and stuff.
Oh,
all
no.
Chicano'd out. There was, I'll
Good
never
for
forget,
him.
yellow, and it had white fur dash. It was all crazy. So the dude comes back. He gives us a grocery bag, almost like the bottom of it was full of weed. And he's like, this is for you guys. He's like, he had 2 of them. The one that he had was almost half full of weed.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what he paid, but.
So how much did you get?
We got, I would say, oh my God. It was about the bottom of a grocery bag full.
Well, what's crazy is I actually smoked some of that weed with you guys. Like,
that's where
the whole rest of the bag.
That's where it came from.
Because we ran out.
Yeah. And, I mean, it was, of course, brickweed. And after you destemmed and seeded it, I mean, there was still quite a bunch of it left. And you would catch a buzz in the morning, but by the end of the day, you weren't getting very high off it. That's kind of what happens with all the lower THC stuff anyway. But, yeah, I mean, we smoked a ton of it.
Oh, I remember. Out of that little gold pipe, I'll never forget that. This is turned into a shit podcast and living in a van all the way to smoking weed. But I mean, I don't mind talking about it because I don't smoke it anymore. So it's actually it's a fun topic.
I still do, but these stories are so old. I wouldn't mind, if I had newer ones that were cool, but I just I couldn't forget how quickly we were able to score. Like this dude, we literally pulled into the parking lot. We had maybe enough for 2 joints left of weed because we had smoked all the way. I bought, I want to say a little more than about a quarter and an eighth.
Yeah.
And that lasted us from Montana to that hotel in
Salt Lake.
No, that was in Salt Lake. No, not that weed. That weed that I bought in Montana lasted us to that hotel. And then at that hotel, we were there literally 10 minutes, checked into the room. We're walking around. We were going to go over to the Hardee's to eat. And this dude's like, what's up, bros? He's like, you guys got a lighter? And I was like, yeah, I do. He's like, you want to burn one? I was like, fuck yeah, I do. So we went over. He's like, come over to my room. So we went over to his room. He's like, you guys need any weed? He's like, I'm hooked up with this dude. He's going to be buying a little bit. If you need some, I can call him. Call him right back. I was like, yeah, we need some weed. And he's like, well, $60, I can get you a bunch of it. I was like, okay. I turned to Tyson. He's like, all right. So we both threw in 30 apiece. And yeah, he came back with that. We followed him over there, and then we just hung out outside. He went inside, talked to the dude. Dude went over to the car, came back with 2 shopping bags with weed, and he's like, here you go. We went back to his place, and that's when he told us that he was a computer game designer. And he showed us his game that he's working on and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm going down to go trim at a buddy's weed farm for a few months because he was on break while they were working on this game.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm just going to go earn some extra money. Tyson actually gave him his number. And then on the way back, he called him finally. And he's like, where are you guys at? You should come up here and trim with me. Because he's like, I can get you guys jobs. You just got to wait till I get settled in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was funny.
Dude,
he was a cool dude.
That trip for sure, and that's part of the reason I do love this podcast, is we can just talk about, we have so many fucking stories.
Ashbury, that was all fun. Seeing that, you know what I mean? Because I don't really ever want to go back there, but after seeing it, it was super cool, especially at that time, I was really into 60s music a lot more, so seeing where a lot of people hung out and a lot of the shit transpired was pretty sweet, even though that it's a dirty area and it stinks. But going to Golden Gate Park and all that shit, like, that was super fucking cool, man.
I remember it being cold, but that trip definitely...
It was colder in Northern California. Going to the redwood trees and finding those pornos in that fucking redwood tree.
We didn't need a lot. We learned so much traveling, hitchhiking, street smarts out of that trip alone.
That's where hotel borrowing came about, hitting up the continental breakfasts.
Absolutely.
The places that you didn't
that was the
stay
first.
At,
sorry.
Hitting up the pool. No, go ahead.
No.
Hitting up the pool.
Yeah, that's the first time we'd ever done anything like that. Started sleeping in a car. You slept in the back seat. I slept in the front seat. Dude, that truck was not comfortable. We were living off no money. I think, and it was '08. And then that was like
Yeah.
the PSP.
That was, yeah, dude. There was no smartphones.
No
There was,
smartphones.
you had satellite radio in the truck, so at least we had constant stuff to listen to, but it was still like, it was a different time back then, dude. There was no smartphones. There was flip phones, but we didn't even use that because I remember using a payphone a couple times.
I didn't have a phone. Mine was completely maxed out and shut off.
I don't think I had a phone either. I honestly didn't have didn't get a phone until I moved to Connecticut
None of us
in
had phones, did
2010.
we?
Not really. You had a flip phone for a
It was
while,
it was dead because I never paid the bill.
and then
It was roaming. Remember roaming?
oh
It
yeah,
was doing that when I was in California from Montana, and I remember whenever you guys got there, I might have had it shut off, but it was a prepay, so or maybe I still had my plan. Anyways, it ended up being like $700 and I was like, I can't afford this in the fucking Marine Corps, dude.
yeah. That's oh man, that's when you had like nights and weekend minutes and stuff before you basically had like unlimited minutes now. But so
Cocksuckers. That's how they were able to put up all the towers and stuff.
oh so crazy, and there used to be so many more companies around too. I'm glad that they're. I don't know, man. But yeah, it was a lot simpler times. It seemed like, anyway.
Yeah, that's where we learned all the shit.
Yeah, that was the beginning of it. That trip, and that actually made me love road trips because right before that, I had driven to and from Florida by myself in the Explorer, and that alone taught me that I could
Yeah.
do it myself. You know what I mean? And that was again
That's when
without
you're young.
that's without a smartphone. Dude, I did it with a map. And people were
Yeah.
like, "What? How did you do that?" I was like, you know what I mean? I had MapQuest directions and I had a road atlas and I matched everything up and I just highlighted where I needed to go and I did it.
We're actually pretty lucky to have experienced that in our lives without the fucking smartphones. Like when I first went out of the country, no fucking smartphone, dude. And Spanish speaking, I don't speak Spanish, and it was one of those things where it's like, wow, I'm way in over my head.
Yeah, Spanish is one thing that I'm glad that I've started to kind of relearn again slowly. When I have time, listen to
Or
like the 15-minute lessons just to get conversational stuff. Because if you can speak just enough to get around and stuff like that, you know what I mean? You don't need to have like soap opera style dialogues with people, but it would be cool if you could.
it's funny you say that because I got coffee in Peru this year, and I suck at Spanish. And I'm trying to order a coffee. I asked for an Americano, uh, I believe. Anyways, the lady there was just like, "What do you want for coffee?" And she's a customer and I'm a customer, and she's like, "If you're trying to practice your Spanish, exactly what you just said, practice here and there, and then watch soap operas."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, it's easy enough to learn. That's how my husband learned because he's from America and I'm from Peru." She's like,
Yeah.
"That's how you can really learn." I forgot about that till you said that.
You know what I've been doing is watching those lessons, and I started watching Narcos again because then you'll learn dirty words too that you need to get, so you can get by and call people pendejos and stuff, and then call them nasty names,
Yeah.
or know when they're calling you them, because that's really what you need to know. If somebody's calling you an asshole behind your back or something,
Oh,
or calling you gringo, how dare you would even assume that term when you look at me?
yes. Yeah, we should do a trip.
I would love to. I'm getting my passport here in the next couple thing. I got
I thought you had it.
no, I don't have it.
It expired.
Yeah,
Well, fucking
I
get
found
it.
it and then yeah,
It's too late.
Yeah, well, it's been expired. It wasn't like it just did.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, get that, dude, because we could
Mhm.
drive way down into Mexico, and I don't think it would cost that much. If
I
let's
would
just
like to
say
go to Mexico.
hypothetically, get $1,000, $2,000 car, something that's gonna work well. Only take backpacks that are big enough.
To fit a small child in,
Oh yeah.
we're smuggling back babies and selling them in
I don't
Southern
think you-
California.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think you have to smuggle them back. I think
No,
you
I
can
think they
just,
give them away.
yeah.
They come with
How
burritos.
many baby you want? Yeah.
You come with me now.
Um, yeah, that's where all the formula is.
I bet.
Anyways, we're not talking politics or none of that bullshit. But I would like to go smuggle cocaine into Colombia.
Yes. The way
Yeah.
it should be.
Yeah.
So they give you that dirty look like, what the hell are you doing?
That's a joke. But just driving, taking a trip like that, maybe we could make it all the way to Panama. But I don't want to. If I did get insurance, it would just be the bare minimum. My idea is, I just want to light a car on fire.
My idea is to write TV and duct tape on it and drive down to El Salvador, and I'm going to take pictures and hook up with a journalist, and we're going to link up with some nuns that get pulled over and shot and raped.
And back in my
By,
drinking days, we'd be slamming some Tic Tac.
Yes.
That is
And getting
such.
getting shot up with big needles full of like peanut butter like substance in a barn by
Oh.
some lady. That's the biggest goddamn needle I've ever seen.
What movie we're talking about is El Salvador by Oliver Stone.
Which is it's an underrated movie, dude. James Belushi, young Jim Belushi's in it. It's probably one of his better roles, in my opinion.
Without a doubt.
He was a
Both
pretty
of
good
those
actor
guys.
in that. Yeah, James Woods is in it, and man, that movie is pretty graphic too. I remember watching it. I was getting my brakes done on my Acura at Pet Boys, and it was on, and I was like, "This seems like a weird movie to have in the lobby of Pet Boys on." And I sat there, and because it took so long, I damn near watched almost all of the movie. It was a TV edit of it, so they had like weird language in it, which is always off-putting.
At a Pet Boys.
Yep. In Connecticut on the Berlin Turnpike, I'll never forget it because I was set down. I was like, man, I'm gonna be here for a while, and then it was like, and now Salvador continues, and I was like, oh shit. And it was right in the beginning, right when he's like, my goddamn dog's locked up in a kennel. He's like, we got to get my dog or they're gonna kill it.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite travel movies, really. It's not meant to be like an enjoyable travel film.
No, it's supposed to be about the war that they were having in El Salvador.
Yeah, I was going to say
Between
Guatemala. No, the name of the movie is El Salvador.
Between the
Or Salvador.
political guerrillas or whatever and like the government. So
Yeah, mass confusion there where the U.S. goes down and they actually help out the criminal.
yeah, they've done that a few times.
Oh, definitely. I think that's,
A given.
well, that's how they roll. And then they ended up
When are we
fucking giving all the Taliban all that stuff.
yeah,
I don't know, maybe was it last year or something?
we kind of screwed up. We screwed the pooch on that one. Oh well, what are you?
Yeah,
gonna do?
we're totally not talking politics, but that's what that movie is about.
Yeah, it is about political stuff. Anyway, it's a good watch.
But
It's
for
on-
me,
It's on like Tubi or something like that for free, so check it out somewhere.
it's the road trip that they take and being in a different country and the experiences that they have, because that reporter was crazy.
Yeah. He didn't bring anything on
Boyle.
that trip, too. He borrowed everything from
I
that
love
other
that.
journalist
I
that
love that.
got killed. And then he took his photos, and those were the photos that they ended up showing.
Yeah, so well, that guy died, did he not?
Yeah, he gave him the photos. You know, he was dying. He got shot up by when they had that attack on the village.
And this is all like a true story based on actual events.
Yeah, it all happened.
So if you haven't watched
It's a good one.
Salvador or
It's-
El Salvador,
It is a travel movie in the fact that they do have a pretty good road trip from California driving down there in that Mustang, which is pretty sweet.
and then they're just hanging out. He's laying in the hammock and
It's
stuff.
very underrated, I think.
Oh, it's
It's not one that you
Great.
hear about a lot. Nobody's like, Salvador is a good movie. I mean, only a few people know about it. I wouldn't have known about it unless you showed it to me.
a lot of people do not know about. Actually, I haven't met anybody that knows about it aside from people that I've shown.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who I heard it from? How I found out about Salvador was the movie The Doors. Robbie Krieger says when they made The Doors, he's like, I knew that I wanted Oliver Stone to make the movie about Jim Morrison and our band. And
Because of Salvador?
because of how well he did with Salvador. And I was like, well, what is this Salvador shit? So quick down to Walmart, get a
Mm-hmm.
$5 DVD back in 2007 or 6,
Yeah.
and rest is history.
That was a good one. Yeah. There's a few. That's a whole podcast too. Just travel movies. I mean, like Dumb and Dumber is probably one of the
That's
well-known comedies for sure. I love the travel scenes on it. Don't get me wrong. I like it when they get to Aspen and there's some funny stuff. But the way it's filmed and stuff like that is, I don't know. Being in the car a long time, you could feel the same thing. Stopping at the gas stations and the small towns and the diners, like when he's
dude.
messing with Flo and all that stuff. It's funny.
And the soundtrack. That soundtrack
Very
alone,
iconic.
if you go and you play that and you go on a road trip, there's a handful of songs in that movie where you're like, dude, 2 foot of butt crack.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
get you going, man. That's one thing that I will give the Fairley brothers is that they have good soundtracks in their movies. Even their later ones that haven't been that great of movies, in my opinion, still funny. I think that
Dude.
they're just relying on writers too much, which, I mean, geez, if they ever hear this, I'd love to write a movie for them. I got tons of ideas. I already got an idea for Kingpin 2 if they want to just crank out sequels, too.
What's funny is I listened to one of their, what do you call it, where they do the voiceover commentary.
Okay.
And
Oh,
they
where they-
said that's how they figured out most of their ideas. And I'm not sure what movie I was watching when I listened to that, or maybe it was a YouTube deal. But they said where they got most of their ideas for movies was just road trips.
Road trips are yes, I actually heard that too on they were promoting Dumb and Dumber 2 and they did an unmask with Ron Bennington and they talked about how most of the movies that they wrote were from taking long trips, which is awesome because I love road trips. Even when I drive up to Lincoln, which is like an hour and 15,
It's
an
not
hour
enough.
and 20 minutes, it's enough to it's not enough in don't get me wrong, but just driving and getting out of the prairie into the mountains alone is helpful. You know what I mean? Just getting and changing the scenery anytime. Getting in the
It's
car and just
amazing.
going is so great.
Oh.
Especially when you have a destination in mind, but you don't really have a set time on when you got to get to it, so it doesn't matter what you do. That's so great, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I drove from Connecticut to Montana, it was like, I'm driving this. I'm going to see how far I can go. Everybody's done that, where you just get out of control driving.
That's not fun.
not
That's
driving out of
terrible. That makes
It's not.
it ruins things, but it is. You get in a groove.
You do. Sometimes you're in that mode though. Like I wasn't doing it because I needed to. I was doing it because it was like I don't know. I felt like I was pacing myself. I was like, I'm only stopping when I gotta stop at gas stations. I'm gonna piss. I'm gonna fill up the car. I'm gonna keep going and see how far I can go before I gotta finally just be like, all right, I gotta stop and pull over and go to sleep.
I definitely don't like road trips of that style. This year, whenever I came back from Peru and I helped Jill move from Orlando to Bend, Oregon, that was a great road trip. Like, I never got to know that person ever until that road trip, and you can do that on a road trip, but definitely
that's a long
taking
trip too.
yeah, 6 days in a 26-foot U-Haul. Both of us. It was like, and we were pretty chill about it. I was like, well, I don't want to turn something. I want to turn something that's supposed to be stressful into a fun experience.
Yeah, lighten the situation up some.
Yeah, and now we still talk and stuff, and it's like, you just can't beat a road trip. And some are fucking hell trips. You don't want to be in a certain car
Oh man.
with certain people. But
Yeah.
that one was great.
Driving back from Connecticut when my transmission went out in St. Louis was not fun. But that was the first time I did acid too. So, I mean, that was a whole learning experience in its own thing. Like I didn't expect it to be what it was and it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like
And driving.
well, I didn't drive at all. I was in the motel room while they were fixing
Oh.
the car, so I didn't leave. So when I left Florida, I used to hang out with this dude who was totally into. He got me into Fear and Loathing and stuff. It was this other dude that parked cars with us. And before I left, he's like, "Hey, I'm not gonna get a chance to do this with you, so take this with you." And he gave me this little piece of tinfoil thing, and I was like, "I don't know what the fuck it is." And I was like, "Cool, man, thanks." And he rolled up. I bought a quarter of weed and he rolled it up to perfect little joints and he filled up a cigarette pack with it, so I had that for the trip. And we got super high, left. About halfway when I got to about halfway through the trip, I was like, I wonder what the fuck that is. So I texted him and he's like, don't take that until you want it. He's like, it's some acid. He's like, don't take it until you get somewhere and you're ready to take it. You know what I mean? Don't take it when you're driving or anything like that. I was like, oh my God, okay. So my transmission goes out in St. Louis and they're like, yeah, it's going to be about a day. So I check into this seedy ass motel room and I was like, fuck it. I grabbed those joints and I grabbed that fucking acid. And I'm sitting there for a few minutes in the motel room and I was like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck to do. So I fucking took it and then I was like, maybe I should ask him like what to do or whatever. I mean, I guess I already took it. I called the dude and he's like, did you take the whole thing? I was like, yeah. He's like, there was 2 hits on it. So it was 4 hits a piece on the 2 hits of thing.
Yeah.
So I took 4 hits of acid and I was like, oh shit. The movie Flight 93 came on and it's all first person. It's about that
God.
plane that crashed in the middle of that field.
Yeah.
So I'm watching. I was like, this isn't the movie to be watching this. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed.
That's
Dude,
a comedy, right?
yeah. By the end of it,
No,
I was.
It's not funny. I'm sorry.
By the end of it, I was storming the cockpit with the people like, we got to get these Muslim motherfuckers. Like, it was insane. I looked over at the wallpaper at the wall and it looked like frogs. And I'm not talking about like little cartoon frogs. It looked like actual frogs on a lily pad type frog. And I was like, oh my God, I'm high as fuck. I walked down to the corner store, dude. I didn't even get halfway down the street and I was like, I heard, I don't know if it was gunshots or what the fuck it was. And I turned around and I was like, power walked right back to the room and I stayed there the rest of the night. And I fucking watched shitty movies on HBO and fucking tripped balls for literally, dude, it was like 9 or 10 hours. And I slept for like 4 hours. The shuttle came. I remember finally getting ready to fall asleep. And then I heard the phone ring and the shuttle was there to pick me up to go get my car. And I was like, fuck, dude, I never slept.
Ugh.
So I got my car. I drove out of the state of fucking Missouri, and then as
You
soon as
were
I
right there.
as soon as I found a nice rest area, I pulled over and I slept for like almost a half a day. It seemed like I lost so much time. It fucked me up, but I ended up making it home. I had a terrible ice storm in South Dakota that was there, dude. There was fatalities for sure. There was cars spun out everywhere, and I was just driving like 10 miles an hour in the Explorer and with the 4-wheel drive clanking because it always kicked out of thing. But I was like, cruised right along and made it, man. It was insane. Dude, I've driven in some crazy conditions on road trips. Whiteouts, fucking black ice and stuff like that. Fog. Oh.
Yeah. How did that trip change your perspective?
It made me realize that I could do
shit alone.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I could take a trip like that alone and not have any problems. It's don't get me wrong. It's definitely better to have a co-pilot, man. It's so much nicer when you got somebody to talk to.
It could be, and it doesn't have to be. Sometimes you can just
Well,
that was before really listening to podcasts or anything.
No,
like
I
that.
had a satellite radio, thank God, so I listened to Stern the entire time. At least it was back in the years when he was good, so it was entertaining. They had a nice little lineup there. But, I mean, my God, dude. Like, that was such a long trip. And that was just, it wasn't even like I was moving anybody or anything like that. You know, it was just driving a car, but still.
Yeah, you can. You really have time to think.
That was Montana to South Florida. I was literally 30 minutes away from Miami. I drove the entire state of Florida down too, which people are like, where'd you go to in Florida? And that's one of those things they usually think towards the top of the state. And I was like, no, man, it was down the bottom.
You're like Pensacola.
That guy was
Is that
on
up
it.
Top?
Yes. It's up
Okay.
by the Panhandle.
Yeah, I don't really know Florida very well. It's always been a state that I've flown through, or
State of
just
mystery.
or just recently
It's
did
gonna
that road trip from.
It's gonna break off someday and float away.
Yeah, with any luck. No, actually, Florida seems to be pretty cool.
I think it would be awesome to see, because you know how they always threaten that California is going to get one good quake and then break off? Wouldn't that be cool in our lifetime if something like that actually happened, like Florida broke off or a big old chunk of California just kind of took off and we're like, well, it's still a part of us, but Now we got another state.
Yeah. Well,
New
it's the same
New California. And it's like the
Yeah.
beaches are super close to the roads.
It's kind of like they're always saying the ice caps are gonna melt. They're just always coming up with something crazy like, oh,
Well, what about super
Y2K.
volcano down here in Yellowstone? One of those days that thing's supposed to erupt and we're going to be showered and
Oh, we're gone.
it's going to be like Pompeii.
Yeah.
Pompeii 2.
We'll be totally gone. Like we're, I don't know, 100.
Well, yeah.
We're
I mean,
150 miles away from it.
there's a good chance that if that refinery blew in Great Falls that it's going to put a big dent and stuff. There's a lot of shady areas that could cause some damage around here.
Listen, our grid is extremely weak. I'm just kidding.
It
I don't
is.
give a fuck about that.
Our grid is A7. You sunk your battleship. It's that terrible.
There's some guys at work stocking up on food. I'm like,
Like
I know.
perishables?
No, like freeze dried.
Oh.
And
Why, dude? Those not a few of those meals are palatable, but some of those meals are pretty fucking gross.
yeah. Well, maybe they're trying to kill the human race.
Well, that's been happening for years, man. I mean, that's not gonna stop. People
Yeah.
die. And it's not there's not gonna be any apocalypse. We're not gonna get anything cool like that. And a lot of people are like, dude, what about these people? I can't wait till the apocalypse. And you look at them and you're
We're
like,
living
dude,
it.
yeah,
We're in it.
they're not doing anything now. What makes you think you're going to be ready for an apocalypse? You could barely get through day-to-day life. You're going to be fighting zombies or whatever the hell pops up. Get out of here.
Let's just live.
That's what
You
I'm
know,
trying to do.
Okay, so the people buying, I know the what ifs, they happen. But the people buying all the shit to be like, oh, man, like Y2K, we got 10 generators and a lot of gas.
Isn't that funny?
We
That
have
happened,
everything.
That happened early in the millennium.
How many
and now
times has it happened? It's happened.
No, it happened the first time then in the millennium, like noticeable in our generation. You know what I mean? And then after that, now it seems like it's every year.
It's every
that's something-
other, at least.
After 9/11, it was like every year there was something else that happened.
Oh, well, it was Y2K, then 9/11, and then fucking
Bullshit, then swine flu,
All of it.
and all that other crap that we had, and then between that, school shootings happened. There was an uptick in that. Then there's more shootings in all around places, and then now with social media and like glamorizing shit that the way the media does.
people buy into
encouraging it.
negativity.
Oh yeah,
And then they've
it
also
sells.
noticed, I'm sure that like bigger corporations have noticed, well, we can jack up the power bill or we can create a shortage on toilet paper. Meanwhile, we have fucking 10 warehouses full of it. But
Mhm.
if we don't release that, the price goes up because supply and demand. There's so
That's
much.
what they're
or
doing
the
with
same
oil-
with gas.
That's what they're doing right now with oil for gas. That's why it is what it is, dude. It's been like
It never
every day-
ends.
Every day that I go into work, it's going up by 5 or 6 cents, and it's insanity, dude. I gotta put $10 in every day just to make sure that I keep my tank topped off, so I don't have to fill it when it gets all the way down to empty. Because it sucks, dude.
It's just
and that's
humans
just a car.
love the negative news, negative
Well, that's
things because it's like gossip.
people love a good downfall. Look at the movies
Yeah,
that are
you're right.
all the great movies that people love, like Goodfellas.
Yeah.
He had everything, and then he got everything, and then he fell. They love that's why people are obsessed with the Johnny Depp case right now, because people love to see people rise and then fall.
So I think we talked about this a little bit, like on podcast number 2, but yeah, they definitely do, and they also want to be like, I'm the one that's going to be prepared, and you're not, because you're stupid, and I'm super fucking smart, and you're like, wait, okay, redneck voice plus fucking. Now you're a fucking genius.
Yeah, plus gun rack in the back of the window of the truck.
Yeah,
equals,
I know.
trouble.
Rednecks, you can run a trout line, and country boy can survive, but god damn it, let it rest a little bit.
Yeah, you don't need to be. You don't need to be amped up all the time on that.
Oh,
It's just
fuck.
taking it to another level, dude. Nobody needs to be at a 10 the entire time. You can back it off sometimes. It's fine. You know what I mean? Being a little bit of a chill person, just everybody, doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
It helps.
yeah, just relaxing. So here's an example. is my company got sold to a bigger company, and some people are super worried. Maybe because they're living paycheck to paycheck, but and then some other people are like super prepared. And I'm like, fuck, it doesn't really goddamn matter. I could see where you have seniority and you got years and years in to be worried your little cash cow's getting fucked with.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like, we can't do fucking anything about it.
So you're not worried that Mashimoto-san's going to be your manager soon because you got taken over by a big Japanese corporation?
Hopefully it's Chinese.
And you'll be like Michael Keaton in that movie where he works at the car plant and it gets taken over by a Japanese thing, so he's got to teach all the people English and stuff. And he starts a baseball team with them.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that actually happened. I think that's a Netflix movie. But they make them all lose weight. The Chinese make them all lose weight.
Oh yeah, something like that. I remember that he puts together the baseball team, and he's like, they're not gonna know how to play, and they're like stretching out and like cracking home runs and stuff. It's
I'm
supposed to
gonna
be a
have to
comedy.
check that out. I never have time
It's
to
a young
watch
Michael
movies.
Keaton.
Michael Keaton's the man.
That's the only thing that I do to unwind when I don't. Before I go to sleep, I'll put a movie on or something like that. I don't need to finish it or whatever. I'll finish it whenever, but I like to have something on that. Unless I'm really going to pay attention to it, then I'll put it on later. But there's shows that I can watch, or even newer shows, you know,
And
what
just
I mean?
relax.
Yeah, and not really have to think too much, so you can fall asleep. It helps, I guess. I don't know, for me. Plus, then I get to watch movies and it not be like, oh, you're just laying around watching movies.
I like that idea though. Just travel movies, one podcast for like an hour, 2 hours
There's
talking
a lot
about.
of them. There's some good ones too when you
There's
think about it.
some shitty ones, man.
There is like
that
Road Trip. That movie's not that great, dude.
Yeah,
There's
but
funny parts in it, but that movie is not that great. They'd had a
I
bunch
think
of
because
young
they had
stars
Stifler in it.
in it.
that
Stifler
it
and
did
Tom
good.
Green.
Yeah, those two people right there were what made that movie.
Well, and Amy Smart. She was big at the time.
Yeah, Varsity Blues. What the fuck else was she in?
She was in she got big because she was in Outside Providence.
She didn't get big because of that.
That's one of the movies that she actually, because she was in TV stuff before she got that movie.
Yeah.
I watched the
her
thing.
and Ali Larder.
Yeah, whatever happened to her?
I don't know. I remember both those girls being pretty fucking hot. I bet you they look okay, but we're going to have to Google search her and see what's going on. Every now and then, I like to be like, oh, watching a movie or, you know.
Yeah, they usually are
and being like,
not in Hollywood anymore.
What the fuck happened to that chick?
There's a lot of people like that. Well, what about, was it Mike Flaherty or?
Chaz Bono.
No, the guy that was in Wayne's World and all those other things that just recently died.
She really changed.
Yeah, to a he. Well, his
I know.
his dad hit a tree skiing, dude. There's a travel story.
His.
Her.
I'm confused. What transition did that person make? Was it
She
girl
to
to
he.
guy?
Yeah.
Oh,
She to
okay.
he.
Guy to girl. I see the photos. But who
he
were
can
you talking?
he can grow a better beard than I can. Her father his father, excuse me.
Sonny Bono.
Yeah, hit a tree.
Yeah.
Talk about
Half breed.
a travel story, dude. I'm going to the lifts today. All right, see you later, Dad. A few hours later, you get a call that Dad missed the jump and took a U-turn took a left turn right into some trees there.
Is that Cher's
Ex-husband.
offspring?
Yes, Sharon Chaz Bono or Sonny Bono had.
Who were you
Chastity.
talking about though just a second ago with the
Japanese
in the movie?
about the Japanese corporation that takes over the thing.
No,
That was
before Chaz Bono. You were talking about
Road Trip. Oh, Amy Smart,
no. After that,
Ali Lauder.
no. After I said Chaz Bono and distracted you.
Oh, I said Sonny Bono. That was it.
Oh,
No, Yeah,
You
just
were
about.
talking about somebody. We'll have to listen to this later and be
Yeah, I
like,
don't.
"That's who it was." God damn it, motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's when you say,
If you
"Oh,
leave,
wouldn't it be nice if we could just record our conversation and go back and
yeah,
listen?"
if you like or comment or somehow get back to this, we'll send you a signed Bible, or I
Or if your
will.
dad fucking shares your
He
videos
does.
like
I
twice
thought you
and
had a
says
no
he's super
family.
super proud of you, I'll be like, I will fucking block you so
uh,
you can't watch any of them ever again.
There was a no family share rule. It's supposed to grow organically like tomatoes.
That's what I wanted it to. I wanted to plant this seed with the YouTube channel, let it grow, and my dad calls me today. Well, no, he didn't call me. He
No, he
said,
posted
no,
again.
he didn't even do that. He sent it to everybody in his fucking
Oh no, those are the
uh
people. Those are barflies that follow him on there. Not only are there
well,
old
no,
friends
it's
of him.
everybody. He has friends everywhere,
I
but
know, but there's also probably people from the bar that follow him that are also like, "You look at your son." You know what I mean? And
I
now
would
those
rather
are not the
not.
people that you
Now
don't want
it
liking and giving you pats on the back.
it pisses me off thinking about it. I appreciate it, Dad, if you're listening. One
No,
day I'll
I
do a
mean it's nice
podcast with you. But
I think that would be great
what my intentions
to let it grow
were to
organically.
start doing my fucking videos. Whatever subscribers I had were allowed to see what the fuck was going
And
on.
then when shit gets rolling, then let people
Everybody
in on
else
it.
started fucking finding it would be nice. But I don't want people to share it. And that's why, because I want it, like you said, I want it just to grow.
Yeah,
And
organic.
organic,
Farm to table.
with some shit straight out of a
Yeah.
bucket out of an Econoline.
I know where to get some if you need a whole bucket worth.
But
Yeah, let it grow organically. Like, post it to Craigslist under situations wanted or mail for mail casual encounters. It's a great way to grow the show, I think. It's
I don't
marketing
think,
101.
and that's why I talk about it on here and then go and do stuff on there. And eventually, Charlie, I will release on my YouTube, hey, check out my podcast. But I'm not going to release a fucking podcast video if I have 2 goddamn episodes. Same
Yeah.
with, I'm not going to fucking share. And I told that motherfucker that. That's my dad, Tad. If you're listening, I told you don't share the fucking
Or like.
videos. Don't share them because I have a goal in mind. And he's like, they're really good. And I don't think they're fucking good. I'm trying to find a voice just like on here and there. And eventually that will just all fall into place. But you just don't wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm going to be good at podcasting, or I'm going to be good at YouTube videos, or I'm going to be good at fucking anything. You kind of got to mess around, and I don't want criticism right away. It's coming, but this is me telling my future self, like,
Look at this is
if,
what I started, and now look at what I'm doing.
yeah,
You know what
here
I
I
mean?
am. We don't know where the fuck it's going to go, and that's the part I wanted to. I didn't want to be like, everybody, watch this
Do that
video.
Well, I don't. It's so. I don't know that over the top braggadociousness.
I don't
when
like
you
that.
especially when you're just starting out. I mean, it's one thing if you're like, yeah, I've been doing a show now for, after you've been doing it for a while, and then you're kind of like, yeah, I've been doing this podcast and stuff like that, and then people are like, oh, really? I didn't know that, and you're like, yeah, I just kind of wanted to do my own thing and
Yeah.
figure it out before I started telling everybody about it, because I don't know. Like, one thing that I think you should add is I think you should have a little open and a close for it where it promotes where to go on your socials and your YouTube and stuff like that.
On this?
Yeah, I think that little stuff like that is little stuff to help make it just sound a little bit. Not that it doesn't sound professional because the mics and stuff, the conversation wise,
But mine
sounds
just
great.
opens up and I'm like, hey, here we go.
Yeah.
Podcast number 1, podcast number 2, podcast
Which is
number
perfectly
3.
fine. I think with a nice little open and a little close at the end, it's like, hey, thanks for listening to the show. Check out Bam Bam Bam. And then also reminds people where to go and stuff like that,
Oh, I
Or
love
just-
that idea.
It's just little things that you could do or not do.
That's
It doesn't
growth,
really,
man.
doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Because learning this stuff right now and just having good conversations is really the
part of the
key.
problem, or it's not
Well,
part of the problem, but it's a part of the process.
yeah.
But yeah, I had never thought of being like, "Hi, this is Devan-Lepinski, and if you like this show, you can find me on YouTube,
Uh,
Anchor, Spotify,
yeah.
and also Twitter, Patreon, Venmo,
And if you
and the
do,
links are in the caption."
and actually, if you just did a video that you could put on your videos, you could take the audio portion of that and just put it at the end of the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Repurposing already used stuff that you could use on other videos. So it's just little stuff like that that you're gonna be doing anyway. So
Yeah,
hell,
and sitting in a motel like this is a spot I could
oh
do
yeah,
that
that's
and
where you can
practice one after the other and
you
have
go
like
on
10
there
of them.
you go on there and you find some good royalty free music that you like for an open and a close, and then yeah, just put little things together and mess around too, because you're gonna editing audio is one thing that's always fun to mess with, especially when you got free time, there's nothing you can do outside or whatever. Man, I practice it still now. I go and take clips from movies and intertwine them with stuff, or just pull them because I want to do openings for different shows or little ideas that I have for bits that who knows if I'll even get to, but sometimes it's just fun to mess around and make sure that you keep those skills up.
I love it. I love the fact that you brought that up because that opens that gives me an idea of what I want to,
And you can have
what
your
I could
opening.
do.
Yeah, there's all kinds of little things like that that I think just an opening and a close alone, man, would take what you're having content wise to another level. Just because then, I don't know, they sound. Listen to all these podcasts that have professional, not even professional, just a good open and a close. I don't know. Plus, then
It's
again,
professional.
it wraps everything up, and not only that, it promotes where to find everything in one little
Well, I might end up
clean
booking
thing.
this room again for one other night and practicing some of that shit tomorrow and maybe picking your brain a little bit on that. I like that. I don't think I listen to a lot of people or or um or watch a lot of people that explain that they're growing, and it's slow and they don't know what they're
Oh,
doing and they
yeah.
never admit it. They just
Well,
go for it and they're like it either turns out shitty or it seems like people or it's already
you
prefabricated.
don't see the process behind it. You see the finished product. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that can sometimes be confusing and a little disheartening because you're like, why the fuck am I not cranking out stuff like this? Nobody's going to start at a master level of content making. You know what I mean?
Anything.
It took me so long to learn how to edit stuff. And if you go back and listen to any of the audio that I did using other people that would get sent to me and stuff like that, if you go back and listen to what it sound then towards the beginning and then towards the end of getting clips and doing that, by the time that I had retarded myself from doing it, they sound so much better just because I learned how to pump up the volume. I learned how to put music beds underneath it that were loud enough that didn't overpower the vocals, but you could still hear what was going on
Something.
as well. You knew that it was there. That just wasn't this kind of weird background sound that was going on.
So let me ask you this. What software were you using?
Audacity, it's still the same software that I use now. It's free and it's probably one of the easiest. Is it the most complicated one? Like, is it?
I
I've
don't
used
need
a,
most complicated
I've
because I
used
think simpler the better and your
Ado-
stuff sounds good.
I've used Adobe Audition Pro or whatever, the Final Cut Pro that for the audio thing. I know how to use all that stuff, and you can make albums with it basically. And I was like, I almost bought it, and I was like, do I really need that? Am I gonna? Is that what I'm looking to do? Is make music? And I was like, not really. Not that you couldn't do that with Audacity as well, but it has less features than. It has auto tune built into the Adobe one, of course. So you could record stuff and then auto tune shit. That doesn't have it in this one. But you can record multi track stuff, layer it so it sounds good. That's how you would do an opening and have music on there as well. You could probably do it on GarageBand. I'm not sure.
GarageBand seems to suck dick, but that's just because I don't know how to run it properly. Um, I do have Final Cut Pro for video editing, but is there Final Cut Pro for
I,
audio,
it's
or can I just
Adobe.
do the same shit?
I don't remember what it's called. I'll
Oh, we'll
have
do
to
some research.
Google it. But yeah, I mean, Audacity is free, which is great, and you can download it for Mac or PC. And I know how to use that pretty easily, man. I mean, as soon as I figured out when I first started working at the public radio station, they were still editing on mini discs, dude. And this is like 2000.
The fuck is a mini disc?
A mini disc is like, it looks like a little
Disc.
floppy disk with a CD in it.
And what were they editing?
Audio on it. And so you can't see the levels like you can when you're editing on a computer. You would just have to hear it, stop it, go back, and take parts out. It was the most tedious, unnecessary process ever. And I was like, you got computers with editing software on here. Why aren't you using this? I don't know how to use them. I was like, what? You don't know how to use computers and
Old
stuff?
school shit blending with the new school.
So I started doing that, and I kind of showed the dude a little bit of how to do it until he started becoming an asshole. Then I was like, I'm not showing you any more stuff. So I would do that. Then I would have all the programming cut up nicely so it could run all through the night, and I would never have to get on the mic on nights that I wouldn't have a show. And I would sit there, and they had, before they got rid of it, they had the reel-to-reel audio thing. So I would sit there and cut up audio and do little stuff and learn how to glue it together and shit like that just because I was there anyway. I might as well.
So would they have gotten mad at you if you just had a show anyways? Without permission?
I mean, there's not really anything they could have done. They could have, unless the engineer, from where his house was, he had a button in there that he could shut off the state or kick it to Missoula because part of the time they were on the air and part of the time Missoula was on the air. They eventually, I found out that they got rid of all the paying positions now and they just have people volunteering. I'm surprised that the station's still going. But I mean, I learned a lot of stuff. And basically, it was just learn on your own. The dude didn't show me anything. The first day that he actually finally got a hold of me and I went in there, he's like, do you want to do a show? It was on a Wednesday. He's like, you want to do a show on Friday? I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like a taped show? And he's like, no, live. And I was like, oh, God. Dude, it sounds horrible.
You're like nervous.
I have all of them.
Well, we should listen to it one day and critique it. But, yeah, I'm interested in all of that.
Yeah, audio editing is, I mean, if you can edit video, you can edit audio pretty easily.
Oh, it'd be fun for me to like take a job at a radio station like that and then be like, okay, check this out. I'm Devan-Lepinski. I'm on the air. And then be like, not listen to him. I wonder if they could find me if I went and started, look what Howard Stern did. But if you just went and you're like, I want to have a quick 5-minute fucking talking session.
The only way that you're going to get anything like any opportunity, excuse me for doing that, any opportunity like that is if you go to a public radio where you can actually speak and have long form stuff, because for the most part, regular radio is basically voiceover, which is just recordings. So they just come in, they don't even do, the music's already generated by the computer. They just basically come in and go, that was Van Halen. Coming up, we've got a twofer with Leonard Skinner and Pink Floyd.
Twofers are the same band, right?
Yeah, we'll have a twofer with Leonard Skinner and Pink Floyd, and then weird news or whatever, and they'll play
two songs of each.
Yeah, some weird prep burger pre-recorded.
Radio is so fucking generic now.
I know, because they don't care about it anymore. The only thing
they should, because it could be amazing.
Well, everybody has it. Like, everybody has access to it for free, and if they actually put some effort into it,
it could be fun again.
It could still be entertaining. Some public radio stations do, and there's some entertaining stuff on there. That's how a lot of the serial killer podcasts and stuff like that started spurring off when podcasting got big, because of like WNYC in New York and the one I can't remember the one out of Chicago that's pretty big. And they did a lot of these investigative type radio shows, and those turned into different stuff like that. I mean, that's the cool thing about podcasts. There's so many different variations of it. There's long form talking like this. There's investigative ones. There's automotive ones. There's like
everything.
Home building.
What,
like
podcasts?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucking endless.
You can listen to all kinds of stuff. I mean, look at how many Adam Carolla has. He has ones about building stuff. He has ones about cars. He has ones about all kinds of stuff. And
yeah, the possibilities are absolutely endless. That's why it is really fun.
I don't understand why radio doesn't incorporate that more. You know what I mean? Not that they need to have long form stuff. They can still have their music and stuff, but update the music too. I mean, nobody wants to listen. When you can listen to any song on your phone, you're losing so many people when you're playing the same Van Halen songs and the same whatever. Not
Led Zeppelin, dude.
You need to be on with the new music, even the new radio stations play not all new music. It should be newer stuff, especially if you're catering to a younger audience.
There's clearly a lot of good music out there that's not on the radio,
That
and
should be.
and it's not filthy. So just like in country, there's these older school. They're newer singers, but they're older school.
And they're not getting the radio play.
They're
They
not,
should.
and but it's, you know
And
what
it's
they're
good
not
music.
playing at the parties? They're not playing Luke Bryan. You know, they're playing Tyler Childers and stuff, which is like, I'm just gonna say, it's fucking annoying. It's like back
It's
in the day
pop.
when it was Old Crow Medicine Show and it came out. It
Oh.
was like, it's so neat, yeah, great, but now it's over fucking played at the parties,
yeah, it's
and
played
it's
out.
almost fucking super depressing music if you really listen to it.
Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be jovial having, especially music like Old Crow. A lot of it was like
We're
down
not-
and out sounding
Yeah.
type.
A
like,
man of constant sorrow. Come on, we're
Yeah.
not fucking oh brother, where art thou?
I'm a goddamn paterfamilias.
Yeah, on the big rock candy mountains.
Oh,
Fucking
God.
shut the fuck up. It's great. I would say it's great.
It's
but
good
where I'm from,
sometimes.
in the tiny little town where the Unabomber's from,
Yeah, it's
is
not.
it's over fucking played.
It is.
And I feel like
it's closing down the bar music, and
Oh,
it's just
my.
nothing but angering.
my buddy's girlfriend, every time she's around, she fucking has this fucking.
Not
She
Old
plays
Crow.
the same fucking. No, it's just the same fucking musician over and over and over and over and over again. I was like, I fucking get it.
Who is it?
You're into some.
Who's-
It doesn't matter. I'm not
No.
gonna say it on here.
You're not. No, who's the musician?
Tyler Childers just plays
Oh.
it. It's always that. It's like the go-to. It's like, holy fuck. Hey,
Ew.
you fucking burned it out, okay? And maybe it's just coincidence that whenever I'm around you or you're around me,
No,
you
it's-
play this fucking bullshit. No, this
I don't think
I
it
would like to
is.
see the song count on her fucking iTunes and her Spotify. What got played the most? Because you know there's songs on repeat because we all do it.
Yeah, but
I'll do
you
it for
got-
like a week or two, and I'm like, okay, time to find something new. I'll go from death metal,
Yeah.
Norwegian black metal, to fucking Pantera, and that's like my metal. And then I'll go to that country, what I was just talking about, Tyler
Oh, yeah, I
Childers,
listen to all kinds of
good
stuff.
shit. And then I'll go to complete and total indie, like the Colts I listen to, or just the band Colts today. Go Outside, that old song.
Oh yeah, I forgot
And
about that.
please don't, what is it? Oh my God.
I've been listening to a lot of Donny Benet, dude. I just discovered that Australian dude on YouTube one night, and I was like, his videos are so bizarre, but his music is like 80s style. It sounds like it's like karaoke music, but it's original music. It's fucking crazy. And then it like that Japanese dudes that I sent you, those like monk looking dudes playing that 3-piece trio. Just weird. There's all kinds of weird music that's
You know what's
so
cool about
cool.
that music you found? You found it.
Yeah, it's just bizarre shit.
It's like old school, like taking a chance on buying a CD. You found that online on your own. So it's
Yeah.
it makes it kind of personable with that. That's the same way I want my fucking YouTube to go.
And that's how that stuff happens too, especially when you're creating dude, what crazy it part of it is YouTube algorithm, because what crazy stuff was I listening to that it kicked over to like the stuff that I ended up finding, all because it was like I was scrolling through stuff of songs that I've already listened to, and then it was like this. It does the same thing with videos when I watch YouTube vlogs and stuff like that. You'll see the ones that I normally see, and then I'll be like, who the hell's this dude? And then I'll click on that and I'll watch this and see if it's good or not. And I mean, that's just from them constantly uploading stuff, you know? It is totally possible to grow an organic stuff. And quite frankly, dude, it's nice to know that it's not people that you know. You know what I mean? It's
It's the
people
best.
You don't know any of these people, and that way you're getting general responses. You're actually entertaining
I like it.
people.
I like
You're
it.
getting
So
a truthful
I get
truthful stats.
I get a glimpse of that with my Instagram.
Yes.
So I'm getting comments on. So I got one of those videos where I'm hanging from the cliff. That people seem to love that. I'm almost up to 60,000 views on the motherfucker, and most of the people commenting on it are, I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And then I got a guy at work, and he follows me. And he's like, "What are you doing with all your stuff? I'm like totally going down the travel road. That's what I like. And so I almost want to go through and get rid of everybody I know. Just restrict them. They're not allowed to be on there.
Yeah, and just
I
see
want
what
an
happens.
audience of people that I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I
It
don't want to be
is
judged that way. I want people to just see this fucking person out there and be like, I don't know him. He's pretty neat. And that's all.
it's a
I
different
don't want
perspective.
people that I used to fucking slam beers with being like, look what the fucking he's doing. He's trying too hard.
I,
And,
I can
and
totally
I don't
understand
like
that.
that idea. Just like sharing the video. I don't like it. I want it real.
Yeah. It
I
makes
don't
total sense to me.
I don't want to think that so and so that I hung out with last year is watching and talking shit in the fucking bar.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
they're not doing anything.
I
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but come on, man.
I don't want
Like,
to. Yeah,
it's different. Yeah, again, plus growing, again, to harp on it, organically like that with people you don't
it's
know is so
awesome.
much more satisfying than
Don't you think?
the same bar. Yeah, plus, dude, how many times would it be with the audio and stuff that I edited that I'd have to hear? I love that stuff. That I still
Yeah.
hear it, dude, and it's been years. Not that it wasn't funny or fun, but it's like, okay, I get it, man. Like, it was cool stuff, and it helped me learn how to edit
Oh,
audio.
I
But
love compliments, but I want to restrict the views from some
I want
people.
compliments from people I don't know on stuff where you're just like, yes, I'm actually doing that. Then you know
You
it's
can be
real.
yourself.
Well, you know that the compliments is real and not you're just getting, you're doing a good job, bud. And
I
it's
hate
like,
that, and they
it's a
don't even know what
phony.
the fuck they're talking about.
They don't even watch the video. They're not even into it, anything. They're just like, you're doing something, man, and that's a good thing. You're like, shut the fuck up. I
Yeah.
don't want that. I don't want that kind of praise or anything. That's the wrong kind of message that you're getting. Now, if it's some dude like, you suck dick, and you're like, I don't even know this dude, you're like, all right, well, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't care about any of that stuff either.
You know what's
But you know
fucking
it's organic and not people that, again, barflies and old people that you knew from high school and shit that have nothing but free time, and I just don't want them associated with the stuff that I'm doing.
Here's an experiment. Probably shouldn't even fucking say it on here, but I don't have to release this. Just start fresh. Devan-Lepinski YouTube gone. Leave it there. Don't post any fucking thing ever again. I've practiced enough there. Start a new fucking channel. Start a new podcast. Start a new name, a new fucking everything, and just abandon that. Because then they'll be like, oh, see, he gave up. Meanwhile, I'm doing shit I want to do all the fucking time.
Under a
And
different
nobody can
thing.
fucking find it. It's not tied to me.
Yeah.
That sounds fucking amazing.
And it's all possible too, because it's not like you've got some 100,000 people.
It don't matter. Yeah, I can. I
It's still
can have
practice.
20 of these
You know what I
goddamn
mean?
things.
Yeah, I have, because I didn't know what I wanted to name stuff, and now I'm just started doing stuff as one thing with Real Lame Charlie, so everything can be found at the same type of place.
I just thought in the beginning, long time ago, when I made my first YouTube, that it would be my name. And then
Yeah.
I wanted to go with that Tree Drifters bullshit, which is tattooed on my arm. And that's just a drunk idea all the way around. Everything about that was drunk. And I didn't like that because I didn't like to have to tell what the fuck Tree Drifters was.
What about the battle for the Tree Drifters name between you and Tyson? And you're like, you don't even have anything to do with this. And he was trying to take it, and there was a power struggle.
Oh, I always try to include him in on everything. I have. I'm looking back.
Was he
I've
not
had a
even-
ton of fucking ideas, and they all kind of revolve around traveling. I know
Wasn't
I say
that-
that word so many fucking
But
times.
the Tree Drifter thing was on a trip, so
It was
literally-
on a trip.
It
yeah,
had to do with
me
traveling.
and two other friends, not Tyson.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He wasn't there. I don't remember how he got involved so much with it. I thought it was cool when you were getting shirts and stuff, and you had Jeffrey Lewis design you up that pretty sweet logo with
Yeah.
the tree hitchhiking and stuff.
I'm
And
just confused on what to do now. I really like, and this is for like fucking total record, unless I change up, then this might not ever get fucking posted, where I can just do my own thing and not have to have my dad share my stuff.
that's one thing that I'm
Doesn't
happy
that sound
about. I don't have any, like, my mom and my dad don't I don't share any of the stuff that I do with them. You know what I
I
mean?
didn't share it.
They know that I'm not saying that you did. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm glad that they don't. Not that they're. I will say that's the one cool thing about my parents. They're not Facebook people really. Like my mom has one, but she's not constantly on it or anything. My dad doesn't have any social media. That's why he's badass. That's the only cool thing about him is his sense of humor and that he's like, I don't need social media.
Well, yeah, they grew up in a time of social,
Distress.
yeah, social humans.
Anxiety, but everybody called it just being having a case of the blues. Remember when anxiety was called having a case of the blues? Depression was just
Moon days.
yeah. Oh, that guy's just got a case of the moon days as he's
Fuck.
walking into his place of business with a gun.
But yeah, we should.
This has been long.
I have
Long
no
time.
idea how long it is. I guess it doesn't matter. But we're gonna wrap it up. That is it. We talked about
A lot of stuff.
shit.
A
We
lot
talked
of
about
shit.
weed stories. We talked about getting processed out of the military. Talked about first road trips. We talked about
Road trip movies. Sort of. We touched on that. I still think that would be a great episode. We talked, yeah, a lot of stuff. A lot of things. Driving across the country.
everything.
Yes.
We hit a ton of topics, and it was actually way fun to do this podcast right now,
Basically,
right here.
If you were to sum up everything, road trips are good. You can learn a lot of stuff from just being in a car by yourself for a few hours and having time to think.
It only takes one to change your fucking life.
And you can, there's just something about the open road. You got a little bit of light music going. You got the windows down slightly. You get a nice little breeze going. You're paying attention to the road, but you're looking at everything through like a panoramic view almost out of the windshield, and you're like, yes, taking everything in. It's cool. Even when you're driving through some crap stuff like South Dakota sucks and you see a lot of wall drug signs, but still, you're just like, wow, people live here.
Every exit has a Waffle House, a Holiday Inn, a Subway, a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, a Burger King, a Flying J, some sort
Love's.
of a Love's truck stop,
I love Lowe's.
and that's it. We're going to wrap this up. This is Devan-Lepinski, and this is, if you haven't been there, podcast. Thank you, Charlie, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.